Hi, everybody, and welcome to Be in the Know, Table Games and More. I'm Benny Mancino, the host of this vlog, and today my special guest is Michael Shackleford, better known as the Wizard of Odds. Michael, welcome to Be in the Know.
Hi, Benny. Thanks for having me.
Mike, it's been quite some time since we've talked on this forum. We've talked offline, but when I talked to you last, we were right in the grips of full-blown COVID. You had a beard down, you look like one of ZZ Top. You really finally was able to cut that beard, but I see you've kept the long hair and the bun, and it looks very distinguished on you.
Well, let me turn around here. So I did cut it down a little bit, and but I've got the ponytail going. And to be honest, I'm really seriously thinking about cutting it and going back to a normal haircut. And I tend to think that before the summer, the ponytail is going to be gone.
Really?
Yep.
Yeah. Well, I know you do a lot of athletic type events, and I would think it might be in the middle of summer in Las Vegas, it might get a little hot. But yeah, you rock that out very, very well, Mike. I gotta say it. I don't think the B man that the man bun would work, but for the Shack, it definitely works. So have you been keeping busy?
Yeah, I definitely am keeping busy with my hobbies of rock climbing and unicycling, jogging, staying in shape and staying busy. Work-wise, I've been slowing down a little bit, especially with the private consulting, but I still do my wizard duties.
Yeah, well, you know what? If you can do that, I know somebody said to me the other day, he says, you work 24/7. You just and my response to that is that if you're doing something you love, it's really never work. So I know even though you go into retirement, your mind is adept to all this mathematics and statistics. And if you see a project that comes along, something might draw you back into a little bit of interaction. But I'm very happy that you're able to move towards that. And do other things in your life that you like to do. And I know you're very active. So speaking about being active in Vegas, the weather there this year has been quite different. I think, from when I lived there, yeah, it got cold. It got, winter was 50 degrees and it was very windy, but it seemed to hold on a lot longer than it usually does. Is that just a snapshot in my mind, or is that true?
Yeah, we've had one storm after another here, and certainly a lot more rain than usual. But it's a beautiful day today, and yeah, I think the worst of it is finally over.
Well, that's exciting to hear, because I'm going to be out there at the end of April, and I'm expecting it to be 80, 90 degrees, and I'm hoping that happens. Since COVID, Mike, what would you say the percentage of everything being back to like normal business wise out there is, as far not only just like the strip and that, because you hear a lot that these companies they're seeing numbers that they've never ever seen before in the city and that. But what about when you go onto the exteriors, the suburbs and stuff? Is the business back to normal?
Oh yeah, the economy here in Vegas is really good. In fact, all the casinos and restaurants are singing the blues that they can't find enough help. So and the customer suffers that too, because when a business is short staffed, the customer feels it. But economically, Vegas is doing great right now, as far as I know.
Well, the thing that always amazed me is, when I came to Vegas, I think, and I might have my stats wrong. I'm not going to tell a stat guy that I got my stats right. But when I moved there, like only 7% of the United States population had been exposed to any kind of gambling,
Hmm.
And now I think that number's up in the 40s or 50% that they've seen something, bingo or something. But every new jurisdiction or something that would come online when I was in the business in Las Vegas, it was Armageddon. Like when California got full scale gaming, oh my God, this is going to be the end of Las Vegas. It's done. It's over. And all it did was enhance our business. It exposed more people to gaming as a whole. And then they wanted to come to the motherland and see what it was really like in Las Vegas. And same things happened recently with the expansion of sports betting, HHR, stuff like that. It was going to be the end for Las Vegas. People were going to quit coming to Las Vegas. But I think from what I'm hearing on the street, the numbers for March Madness are just out of control, absolutely out of control. And have you seen that? During this March Madness, is real very busy.
I haven't been out to the casinos during March Madness yet, but I will say that I agree that Vegas has done a really good job of diversifying itself, and we're not just about gambling anymore. I believe that the casinos now get less than 50% of their revenue from the casino. And so I applaud them for that, as opposed to when you look at, say, Atlantic City, they just stuck to gambling when Maryland and New York and Pennsylvania and Delaware legalized gambling. They didn't change a thing. And I believe they've lost over half their casinos there. But so I think that's a major part of our success is making Vegas it's still a fun destination to come to in an international city and not so dependent on gambling alone.
Yeah, and you know what we held up, not we held up, I feel like I'm still in Vegas. I got 702 number, but they held up very well despite the lack of international play, which used to be a big part of the number.
Mm-hmm.
Was all the baccarat play that would come from the Southeast Asia, and that wasn't there for quite some time. And I think just now it come to a point where some of them people can travel to the U.S. So kudos to Vegas for reinventing themselves. And there's some very smart people out there. And so in reverse, Mike, what I'm seeing in some of these jurisdictions that are now, I think there's 6 jurisdictions that are allowing iGaming. It's having a tremendous impact on the local and regional casinos. I mean, people, adopted the iGaming during COVID, and guess what? They like it. They like sitting there in their underwear and their pajamas and playing rake and bacon or playing a hand of blackjack. Although I find the evolutions type of blackjack it drives me crazy because I think it's very slow, but people apparently like it, and it's really dug deep into the revenues of these regionals, and that could be a problem. I can see somewhere down the line where iGaming takes a big cut of the regional gaming experience.
Well, my response to that would be, if that happens, it happens. And I believe in the free market. And if that's what players want to play, then the traditional land casinos are going to suffer. Just so be it.
Yeah, and I think, well, there again, when it's time to vacation though and go, they're going to come to Las Vegas, and Las Vegas is, I hate to say it, but it's almost bomb proof. Everything, we've had every attack known to man on Las Vegas. I lived through the housing bust. I lived through 9/11. 9/11, it was going to be the end of it, right? And I can say in both situations, the housing bust and the 9/11, the companies quickly laid off a bunch of people and just used it to get rid of some of the people that just weren't the underperformers, I think, more than really realistically, a mass layoff. And both situations, they bounced back instantaneously. And here again, we get hit with COVID-19 and boom, it's right back at it. So a lot of new projects coming online. The Durango station for Stations Casino. I know they closed 2 of their lesser performing casinos, never reopened after COVID. Was Fiesta
And the
Texas, I believe. And then Fountain Blue's coming online. Are you excited about that project finally opening up, Mike?
Yeah, absolutely. I've been tired of looking at that eyesore of an incompleted building on the Strip for years. So yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, no, you know, and I'm kind of excited about it retaining the original name, which was Fountain Blue. You know, and then it went to what it's had like three names, isn't it? The
Mhm.
Drew, the Jake, the Joe. I mean, you know, they called it everything but the Mike, which the Mike would have held. You know, but they didn't call it the Mike. But Fountain Blue was a fantastic hotel on the Miami Beach, and I think it's still there. And this is you know, be Las Vegas's version of that great establishment. So some things I've seen in the news, and really not your area of expertise, but I see they're going to start these cannabis lounges because I guess you're able to get marijuana and all this stuff in Las Vegas, but you can't smoke it in a hotel. So, hey, what do we do? You know, this isn't fun. This ain't cool. You know, we're going to get people in trouble because they're going to try to smoke it in the casino. So they're coming up with these cannabis lounges. Do you know anything about them, Mike?
Don't know much about it, but I'm all in favor of it.
Yeah, well, I get it, and it sounds like a terrific gig, man. I should have had me a cannabis lounge. You know, you can't sell it, but you know, here you guy can smoke it, and you can offer him other things to do and make some money off it. And that's another part of the reinvention, right? I mean, we got a problem. Okay, we got this recreational pot, but a person's coming to Las Vegas, they can't smoke it in a room. They can't smoke it in the casino. What do? They fix the problem. That's the amazing thing about the minds and the management and executive arms of these casinos and the city government and all that. It's just so forward thinking. I'm very amazed at it.
I
So let me
agree
ask you this, boy, what
100%.
do you think about Formula One?
I don't have any brilliant comments about it, but again, I respect the free market, and I think it's going to bring a lot of business to Las Vegas. So I'm all in favor of it.
Yeah, and that's always been another thing I've been amazed about Las Vegas is that the ability to bring a new segment of the that never been there and expose them to the city, and then they keep coming back. You know, when I worked at the Hard Rock Las Vegas, it amazed me. We would have these underaged concerts, and I'm thinking, what is Peter thinking about? Why would you have somebody in here into this concert that actually presents no gaming value? But I wasn't thinking forward enough, Mike. These are the same people that 4 years from now are going to be used to coming to your facility, and now they're old enough to gamble.
Mm-hmm.
And damn, I'm thinking when it finally struck me, I'm thinking, oh, dang, this guy's a genius. You know, it's just like, you know, Derek Stevens, all these visionaries, the Vegas world, all these guys they're so forward thinking. It amazes me. So let me ask you, any kind of new technology or games or slots or anything you see out there that's catching your eye?
Nothing really new. It's no big secret that the hot thing with slots right now is what I call accumulator slots, where the player accumulates or vests into a bonus, and then eventually it hits. And the good thing for advantage players is that you can go around and look for the games that are close to the point where the bonus is going to hit, or there's a lot of value vested into that bonus, like a lot of free spins coming up. So it's good for advantage players, and so that's what I've been kind of paying a lot of attention to lately. In fact, just yesterday, I wrote a new page on my site about the game Buffalo Link, where you're guaranteed to get a free bonus if a certain counter gets up to 1,800. So if that counter gets high enough and the game's not being played, it's a good time to jump in and play.
Yeah, you've kind of got me hooked at looking into this, you know, and I started looking at you know, Rich Little Piggies is another one that I have a access to, you know, when I get close to my home in Columbus, and you know, I've been pretty successful. Let's put it that way. One thing I did find out is that, you know, when you find the game in a state you need, and it's like they say it's 5 cents or 10 cents, you got to be aware that the bankroll you need to be successful. You can't run out of money. You know, and when it's in a right state and tell me if I'm wrong here, when it's in the right state and it's it's 10 cents and it's 450 units a spin. We're talking $45 a rattle.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And you got to have a huge bankroll to stay in. You're going to win. You're going to be in a good position, but you got to make sure that you have the kind of bankroll to sustain the time it'll take, right?
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I mean, some of these games are $50 a spin or more. And if you go bust before that bonus hits, it would just be heartbreaking to leave that machine.
Yeah, I found myself in a precarious situation. I didn't realize that my bank card would not, only allow me to go to so much.
Mm-hmm.
And I got out, but it was close. If I'd have needed to hit it one more time, I would have been in bad shape. But it's a lot of fun. But tell you what, is there a name for the people that go around and look at these? Are we just calling them slot APs? Or it's not really, I don't know. It is advantage plays, but it's nothing illegal. I mean, they're just they have knowledge of something and they're doing it. It's just like a card counter.
I
But
call them slot vultures.
slot vultures.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, that's a good name. And there are a lot of them out there. You would think, you're getting a little burg like Dayton, Ohio, right? I went out there and played Rich Little Piggies, and you would think, they're not going to be here in Dayton. And there's this guy going through all the denominations checking. It's just amazing to me.
Yeah, by the way, when do you play Rich Little Piggies? How many coins do you need in the blue pig?
So I don't know exactly, but I've been sticking to 18 above
Okay.
with some success. Am I close?
I tend to think it's probably a little higher, like 20 to 25, but 18 is a solid number.
So let me ask you, when we're talking about that, does denomination change the amount of coins that you need in, like, the blue pig or whatever game you're playing? But does the denomination, like 10 cents versus 5 cents, does that change that?
That's a good question. And there's a big debate about this on my forum right now. And I claim that with Buffalo Link, the more you bet, the higher the RTP. And a lot of people jumped on me saying, that's not true. How do you know this? And I'm sworn to secrecy on my source, but I've seen elements of the par sheet that suggest this. But however, I don't think that's the general rule with slot machines. I don't know the case with Rich Little Piggies in particular, but I think it's safe to assume that the RTP for any given machine is the RTP, and betting more doesn't increase it.
So at the 1 cent level, let's put it that way, and I played the 18 coin, I'm undefeated so far. As long as you got the money to stay into the bonus, I'm not necessarily I'm going to win $1 zillion, but I haven't lost. Let's put it that way.
Okay.
But I did it seems like, when you go up the next level, 2 cents, 5 cents, you don't need to be as high with the coin in the first pig. But that's all here or there. I'm fascinated by it. I know, a guy like you can sit there and consume the data and come up with other figures. But you know what? I don't think these games hurt anybody. A lot of people will chase these advantage players. That's ridiculous. It's like card counters, right? When people hear about this, everybody goes out and gives it a shot, right? Well, they don't have the patience, or they don't have the mathematical wherewithal to understand that they can't deviate, right? It's just like a card counter. You can't deviate from your bet pattern versus your bankroll versus the count, and they do it. So all it does is bring new gamblers to not advanced players. They're new gamblers to the product.
Well, to be honest, if I ran a casino, I wouldn't want hundreds of people just wandering around pressing buttons and rarely playing. But nevertheless, this is a game that I offered them. So I would have to evaluate that one on a case-by-case basis.
Yeah, I get what the lot of concern is. You're letting somebody who isn't going to play the money back win your money and go. It's a concern. You know, it used to be like concern in horse racing when they worried about fixed races. Well, you know, here's all these guys taking this whole pull out, and the regular punter who's out there every day trying to handicap horses, well, he can't win because you know there all these people are taking the money out of the pools. So let me ask you, you got any opinion on cashless gaming?
So cashless gaming, you mean kind of like the craps tables where you use a keypad to enter your bet.
Yeah.
Um, I personally don't find it as fun. I like to handle the chips, but I could see that cashless gaming is probably going to be the way of the future. So no brilliant opinion from me about that.
Well, here's opinion. Here's a theory. This is the B-man theory, and you know how they go, Mike. You've heard a few of them in your lifetime. But my theory was, when Tito's came out, everybody said, "Oh, people ain't going to go for that. They want to hear the sound of that, coins and the thing, and they want to feel the coins." And guess what? 3 or 4 years after Tito's come out, you could barely find a coin operated machine, right?
Yeah.
And video reels came out early, and I think early in the 90s, and like nobody played them at all. I mean,
Yeah.
they just sat there. But now when the iPhone came out and people started playing games, electronic games on their phone, guess what came back in a big way was video reels, and it just became the norm, right? I mean,
Yeah.
you were around Vegas in them days. You couldn't get somebody to sit down on a video reel. It wasn't going to happen. Now, you've got the start of iGaming. Like I said, it's only in like 6 jurisdictions, but what if when it gets to 38 jurisdictions and everybody's playing online without chips and without going, do they get used to that? And now that's the norm. And it's amazing to me. I got in this business at a really good time, and you got to admit, we've gotten to see some really big changes in the industry.
Yeah, that's a really good point, is that just because people don't like something at first doesn't mean that you shouldn't do it. It takes probably a few years for people to just get used to a change. For example, with paid parking in Las Vegas. Oh, what an uproar there was about that, including from me when that first started. But now we're all used to it. And like 6 to 5 blackjack, everyone said when that came out is how the audacity of the casino to offer this. Players are not this stupid, but we are that stupid, and we've gotten used to it. 000 roulette, you name it. People eventually get used to things.
Well, and the same people were making a fuss about 6 to 5 would walk right over to the highest holding penny machine and jump right on it. I remember, I remember when penny machines came out, everybody said, "Oh, these guys are idiots for putting these pennies. They're not profitable." And guess what? They're the most profitable machine going now. So we got end of the April. We got the Global Table Games and Protection Conference coming to Vegas. I'll be there, and hope to see you there. And I know you part of the conference that you really like and to check out is the new table games conference. I mean, contest.
Yep.
And I know you got a special place in your heart for them guys who try to develop new games. And I'm going to ask you a question. I think I've asked you in the past. What makes a good new table game?
That's a good question, and I get asked that a lot. And what makes for a good new table game? I think you've got to take something that's already out there and successful and just tweak it. Like, what's a good example? The pot of gold blackjack, or what's the name of that one? The one where the player can double or split for free.
Free bet blackjack.
Yeah, free bet blackjack. So that's taking, everyone already knows blackjack, but it's just introducing a new twist to it. And all the various poker variations are basically just twists on Texas Hold'em. So that is my advice. That's the secret, is don't don't come up with anything that's too off the wall. I'll do credit for creativity, but you can't bring creativity to the bank. Players want something that they're already familiar with. And so I'm very against combining different games. I'm against any new equipment like non-traditional playing cards. And yeah, and you have to be able to explain a new game in 30, you got to put forth the gist of it in 30 seconds or less. Most new games are way too complicated and way too unfamiliar to conventional games.
Yeah, we've had this conversation before, and I said I was always amazed at when Ultimate Texas Hold'em come out. If Texas Hold'em wasn't on the TVs and Chris Moneymaker and all this, I think Ultimate Texas Hold'em would have failed because its layout looked like the cockpit of a 747, and I think that's very intimidating, right? And when you talk about not reinventing the wheel, Anthony Robbins said that if a donut shop works in an airport in Houston, a good chance the same donut shop will work in Cleveland, but you may have to tweak it a little bit, and that's exactly where you're coming from. Hey, by the way, Jeff Hall has a new version. I don't know if it's out anywhere. You've seen it, but it's free Bet Blackjack Switch. So he took Blackjack Switch and added somehow the math works out to add switch to it, and even that sounds great. I don't know how many rounds per hour you get, 1 or 2 per hour, but it sounds interesting. I'd love to see it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I look forward to that.
So anything you got on your mind, Mike, that we haven't covered?
Yeah, can't think of anything.
So I'm going to say this at the conference too. So supposedly I'm getting this award for lifetime achievement for my contribution to helping others, get into management and move up the ladder. A couple people nominated me for this thing, I guess, but when I get up there, and I'm going to thank a lot of people, you're going to be one of them, Mike, because, without your resource, even before I knew you, when I went to the Wizard of Oz website, it made a difference in my career. If you weren't there, if Bill Zender wasn't there, so many people that and it wasn't the money. I mean, it wasn't the money you just make it's just your contribution to gaming and table games, and it's just amazing. And I just wanted to personally thank you on the podcast.
Well, thank you very much, and congratulations on the award.
Yeah. So I guess we'll see you in April, hanging around, folks. If you want to chat with a legend, stop by the Global Table Games and Protection Conference, because Mike will be there. I know will you be videoing the new games?
Yep. So by the way, that's April 24th to the 27th. And I always make videos of the new table games at the show. All of them.
Well, that's awesome. And your last book still available online?
So, I was going to put in a little plug for that, if you don't mind. So this is my book, Gambling 102. This is the second edition, and the third edition is coming out anytime now.
Oh.
And it's going to have expanded coverage on crapless craps and face-up tag-out poker, but especially slots, where I'm going to go through about 10 different games like Rich Little Piggies and explain when is a good point to jump in and play.
Oh, that's awesome. I can't wait for that. Do we have a date on that release or?
No, with Huntington Press, it's out when it's out, and I've learned to not ask for a date. But the deadline to submit it is long since gone. And, one of these days I'll get an email and it'll say, Mike, we got, 100 boxes of your book. Come and sign some of them.
Yeah, Anthony's probably got a couple of them advantage slot players holding a gun to his head saying, don't release this yet. Don't release this yet.
Yeah. I'm sure I'm going to get some pushback about that, but I'm trying to make people better gamblers, and I will do it however, by any means necessary.
Well, you've always been a proponent of fair games and opportunities, and we worked on some of that down at the when I was at the D. We had the 4% baccarat, and we had some crazy things going on. I think Derek still offers a 3-2 game at all his properties. Maybe he's introduced a couple 6-5s. I don't know. I haven't been there. I'll check it out when I go back out there in April, but. Mike, I really appreciate you being on the program again, and see you soon. And everybody, thanks for watching. Be in the know.
Thanks for having me.